For Capricornia.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Infrastructure and Transport. Will the Deputy Prime Minister outline to the House how this government's infrastructure investment pipeline is driving record jobs growth across the country, particularly in my electorate of Capricornia? Is he aware of any threats to these job opportunities across Australia?
The Deputy Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, I thank the honourable member for a question and note her hard work in making sure that such projects as the Yeppen flood improvement for the Bruce Highway, the upgrade, which was worth about $170 million, has been completed. And in the floods last year in April, we see that it was well at work with the traffic still flowing. Now that supported about 200 jobs. I remember it very well because back in the Senate estimates on February 11, 2013, I asked in the Senate, is there any money for the construction of the Yeppen floodplain in the forward estimates? I asked that of a Labor government, and the answer that came back was quite direct: no, there isn't, Senator. So it was the Coalition and Warren Truss who went to work and made sure that that vital upgrade on the Bruce Highway came about. And it is in central Queensland and in the ministers, in the members' electorate, and also the member for Flynn, we've also had other further major investments. Notably amongst them would be the in excess of $190 million that the Commonwealth put towards defence spending there, in addition to the $2 billion that our allies, the Singaporean government, invested in Rockhampton. This shows substantial investment in central Queensland. And there's more work to do, Mr Speaker. The Rocky Ring Road corridor upgrade is $65 million, and we're well underway with that, making sure that that vital piece of infrastructure, which takes the traffic around the airport, is part of the planning for the great city of Rockhampton into the future. Now, of course, we have to have a vision for our nation, and of course the vision for our nation is quite closely attached to the money that our nation can earn. And we're seeing the revitalisation, the sale of chickpeas in central Queensland, in beef, in cotton, that this is also bringing money into central Queensland and underpinning the economic growth of central Queensland. What would be of great assistance to central and northern Queensland would be the further opening of the Galilee Basin. The Galilee Basin is a vital precinct and helps the wealth of the nation. Today we are talking about closing the gap, and the best way to close the gap is for people to have a job. Now, the member for Lindsay thinks that people having a job is, and I quote, boring. But they don't find it boring in Townsville, where the member for Herbert's from, where youth unemployment is in excess of 20%. They don't find having a job boring at all. They find having a job essential. So we need the Labor Party in the current Batman by-election to stand behind the coal workers of the Galilee Basin, to stand behind the coal miners of central Queensland, to stand up for their core constituency and not announce to workers that their lives are boring. And I do not support the member for Lindsay when she says the prospect of them getting a job is boring. We have to make sure that we get the vital infrastructure so they get a job.